Last time on D&D featuring Calliope Laurelleaf, the Halfling Bard, Ellie Jobel, the Gnome Ranger Rogue, Phelan, the High Elf Cleric, Talarin, the Wood Elf Ranger, Trogdor, the Dragonborn Barbarian, Torpo, the Hill Dwarf Wizard, and Alaric Lysane, the Human Fighter. Alright, with Arrival Session 18, Anita actually continued to DM, so we assume that Calliope is continuing to tell the tale of the characters that we had all selected that were level 1. So as a reminder, Corey Donhart, which was a Goliath monk, was being played by Amy. Talaris Hopebringer, a Tiefling Paladin, was being played by me, but only very briefly in this session because something will happen here shortly. Rorik, who is a Hill Dwarf Cleric, is being played by Albert. Seamus McFlurry is a half-orc sorcerer being played by David. Keisha Nalo is a High Elf Ranger being played by Jessica. Hilda Blackfoot is a Hill Dwarf Rogue being played by Melinda. Bjorn Halfdor is a Human Cleric being played by Brad. Brad, who was not at the last session, Brad actually typically plays Alric, the Human Fighter, in my game. And then we get introduced to Lady Silverbeard of the Golden Hall, who's a Hill Dwarf Bard being played by me. Again, we'll go into why I'm not playing Talaris and why I end up playing a Hill Dwarf Bard instead, who is, by the way, female. This ended up being a very short session because we typically when we play D&D, we gather at Anita's home, and we usually all bring some form of food, which is not just chips and stuff like that, but like actual meals. So like someone might bring some pizza, someone might bring some salad. Like I'll typically bring lupia almost every single time from this great lupia place that, by the way, I probably need to go back and eat from because I've been craving it lately. Just stuff like that. So we bring a bunch of food that is like not just snacks. Jessica, who typically brings these amazing desserts, are also like a big hit at these gatherings. And with this session, it ends up being a fairly short session because we spent a lot of time eating and catching up. Because it had been a while since we'd played. So the session ended up being a little bit shorter, even though Anita was at the helm DMing. So as a reminder, the last session, the party, having successfully killed Clarg the Bugbear, found that his room contained an assortment of containers. Investigating the containers and crates, the team made a note to come back for them while continuing to explore the cave, because they're still searching for Sildar Hallwinter, who they suspect these goblins and Bugbear may have captured. Proceeding through the cave, the party spots some goblins in the cave where 2 prisoners appear to be tied to a wall. Launching an attack, Talaris is able to attack one, however Seamus, after launching a spell, draws the attention to himself and is hit with a number of arrows that once again takes him down. Rurik is able to rush to his side and stabilize him and bring him back to his feet. After earning several cuts and bruises, the party finally manages to defeat the goblins and discover that they've found not only Sildar Hallwinter, but another human as well, named Bjorn, who happens to be a human cleric. Bjorn is Bride's character. He's being introduced as a captive. Bjorn, thankful, joins the party as he himself was headed for Phandalin, or Phandelver. I always call it Phandalin. I'm actually not sure why. Is the name of the town Phandalin, but Phandelver is like something else? I can't remember. Anyway, I said Phandalin. The party escorts Sildar Hallwinter to Phandalin, where Sildar tells them that he's looking for his friend, Einaro. When asked about the supplies, the party realizes that they left it hidden in the bushes along with other supplies from the cave. The party got a horse and wagon and rode it out and found the Goblin Cave still to be empty and recovered some of the items from Clark's cavern, as well as they brought back the original shipment that they had meant to bring to Phandalin that they left hidden in some bushes. In Phandalin, as they kind of move about the town, they learn about a few different things that seem to be amiss. For example, Bjorn learns that there's some trouble with a banshee when visiting the Shrine of Luck in Phandalin. The party also learns that there's a troublesome protectors, in quotes, of Phandalin, a group known as the Red Brands. Seamus also learns that there is orc trouble somewhere in these lands, which makes sense because as far as I know, Sildar had told him that orcs supposedly came in and took over the Echo Cave, so it stands to reason that there are probably orcs in this area. And there's also something with a nearby abandoned manor, something there that seems off or haunting, along with several other quests that the party also discovers in Phandalin. Now, I'm just going to inject my own personal opinion here. Phandalin has a lot of quests to offer. If I were to change something about Phandalin myself, one of the things I would do is not make all of these quests immediately available. So after you help someone with the Banshee, maybe learn about the troublesome protectors of Phandalin, the Red Brands. After you help them with that, you find out that there's also some orc trouble. Kind of layer these quests out, because what happens is you throw so many quests in front of these players. The players may all be interested in different things, so if you have several people, and they're all low level, you haven't really established who this party leader might be. You're going to have a conflicted party of like, hey, I want to go check out the Banshee. Well, I want to go check out what's up with the Red Brands. Well, I want to go check out what's going on with the Manor. And you have this division. So it'd been much better if they kind of honed down how these quests are dished out. So that's my own personal opinion about the Phandalin adventures. Going back to this, the party decides to rest at the tavern, where they discover that the father of the child that Teleris had punched to stop bullying the other child, he has also arrived. Teleris tells the others that he will not, as a paladin, ask the rest of the party to get involved, and agrees to face whatever charges lie ahead. Ironically, a female bard by the name of Lady Silverbeard of the Golden Hall recognizes Teleris and hugs him, taking his gold while she's at it, and assures him that she'll take care of his friends. Now, a note. This came about because when we started playing these characters, we all agreed that we should play something that we have not played already. So Brad, who had missed the previous session where Anita was DMing, needed to pick one of these characters and was told in a text thread that we have these characters and he cannot pick a fighter since that's what he normally plays in the game that I DM for. So Anita said that the only thing she's ever known me to play was a Tiefling Paladin, because that's what she knew me to play as when I joined her for a few games at Battlemage. I never actually got to play with Anita, because at Battlemage there's like literally 15 tables that are all running kind of the same campaign and the same story, and they kind of shift, so you may get different players each time, or you might be in a session that is like several weeks long, so you're with that same group for several weeks. Long story short, Anita said she's only ever known me to play a Tiefling Paladin. So I thought, well, you know what, that's actually fair. So what I did is I said, you know what, I'll scrap the Tiefling Paladin. We'll have him go to jail. Like, let's just do this where the child's father shows up and says, hey, you're going to jail. And that will take away Teleris from the campaign. And then I'll do something that I've not played. And then someone said, well, you should play a dwarf. And I said, oh, okay. In real life, I have a really long beard, which is now very gray these days, thanks to just getting old and just stress in my life has grayed it way too gray. So they had said I should play a bard because I love music, I love heavy metal, and they said, you know, I should play a dwarf because I have a long beard. And then someone said you should play a female dwarf. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So I rolled up a female dwarf bard whose main instrument was bagpipes, because I love the whole Scottish, Irish thing, and I even gave her that type of accent when she talked. She would bang on pots and pans that she had on her hip to make music as well. So I worked with Anita to basically exit Teleris, and I said, I swear I'll never play him again. But that turned out to be a lie, because Anita actually is currently DMing Curse of Strahd. I've never got to finish playing Teleris, so I've made this character a long time ago, this Tiefling Paladin that I thought would be a really fun play, the play of dark character like a tiefling who's thought to be demonic, but then has a paladin side to him that is good and light. So it's very much, if you're familiar with the X-Men character Nightcrawler, it's kind of the same idea. You have this character who looks demonic but is a very religious person. So I wanted to kind of play on that. So when I made Teleris a long time ago, I thought, oh cool, you know, I'll play him at Battlemage. And Battlemage was cool with it. They're like, yeah, you know, that's a really cool idea. So I got to play him for a few times, but as it is, the drive for me after I got off work to try to get to Battlemage, which is not far, but when you leave at 5 p.m. in San Diego, you are going to sit in traffic forever. And so most of the time when I was showing up at Battlemage, I was either showing up just on time, or I was typically showing up anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes late. And they were always really cool, because they said, hey, you know, you're good at what you do, you know, we really like having you here, you're a really fun guy. And they were really cool about letting me show up late. But it was getting to me where I was stressing out every time trying to get there on time, feeling guilty, because every time, like I said, you could be playing with a different group of people. So I just thought, exit out of the game. And so I left the Battlemage game. Teleris, once again, kind of just went away. And then Anita started Curse of Strahd, and I thought this is the perfect opportunity to play Teleris, like someone who has the darkness and then has the light, kind of a paladin in this evil world of Barovia. And so that's why I brought him back. So even though I swore that I would never play him again way back then, I ended up bringing Teleris back for the Curse of Strahd game that Anita is currently running. So that's where Teleris is, and Teleris in that game has a twin sister who is an Aasimar, a fallen Aasimar. So Teleris is a paladin with the Oath of the Ancients, so he kind of has this tie to nature. And his sister, who is being played by Jessica from this game, and also I've dragged her to all of my games, she's playing a fallen Aasimar who is a druid. So we both have that dark light aspect, and then we both have that tie to nature. So it was cool to play in this Curse of Strahd game and be able to develop Teleris even further. All of that said, the party meets a young boy named Carp, who found an entrance to the manor, and he often plays hide and seek near that manor. Following the boy, the party crosses paths with several Red Brands, who mock Rorik, who is a hill dwarf, and Lady Silverbeard for being a hill dwarf. Never wanted to back down from a fight. Lady Silverbeard let him have it with a number of slurs and taunts, and the party took quite a few serious hits from this fight, but they managed to defeat them and basically hid the bodies and took their cloaks to basically use as a disguise. And that's actually where we stopped for the night. Like I said, this was a relatively short session because when we got together, we spent a lot of time eating all this delicious food we'd all brought, and we spent a lot of time talking, so we did not actually get very far. And the battle with the Red Brands was actually a pretty long fight, so it's just really abbreviated in the notes that we took some hits and finally defeated them, hid the bodies and took their cloaks as a form of disguise, and then that we had gone to the inn to basically get rest because we were all pretty beaten up from that fight. And so that's where we stopped for this session, and this would actually be the last time that Anita would DM during my session, because in the following session, that's when we had come back from COVID. So this is the last session right before COVID hit. I want to say this was in I think it was March of 2020. And then we were about to get together for the next session when things started to slowly spread around and things started to happen. And then in June of 2020, my own wife had a very, very serious medical issue to which she's still not recovered. She's no longer able to work, no longer able to drive, anything like that. She's now using a walker and whatnot. And so life in 2020 and going forward has been a kick in the pants for sure. And so this session ended up being the last one because this was in 2020. We would get back together in, I want to say 2022. I want to say it was like around February of 2022 where we would pick up with my game again. And in that game, which will be the last session for this set of games, it was a very combat heavy game. I'll get more into it probably when I talk about it, but it was a very combat heavy game because we had not played for 2 years, and other than Anita and Jessica, the other players had not played D&D again since 2020. So what I did is I made a very, very combat heavy game, but a bunch of the monsters were easy to hit. Like I took monsters that were actually easier and basically just upped their hit points, but left their AC and their attack hits pretty much the same. So the opportunity of them actually doing too much damage to the party wasn't very high, but it was so that the party would get to remember, how do I do savings throw? What's the difference between advantage and disadvantage? What's the difference between a strength check and a strength save? And where do I go to find my weapons? Where do I go to find my spells? So the next session was pretty combat heavy to try to get them to remember where to look on their character to find stuff. And that, unfortunately, would be the last session. That game would be, I'm going to say, indefinitely on hold. I've asked a few times if people want to play. Some people want to play, but some others can't make it. So what I may do, once I have a little more time on my hand, see who wants to play and basically scrap this game and have everyone start again, either at level 1 or level 3, and just basically start a new adventure for them, and just basically leave these original characters to eventually become NPCs that one of my games they may encounter. Because I feel like this game kind of just lost its way. So anyway, there's one more session to go, and I'll get to that probably tonight, so I can wrap up the Arrival game, as I call it. All right. Thanks, and hope you enjoyed this. I'll probably put a number of laughing outtakes that I had during this reading at the very end of this. All right. Much love. Thanks for checking it out. Bye. All right, at session 18, Anita can already messing up. Hilda Blackfoot is a high Bajorn Halfdoor is a human cleric being played by Bart. And then we get introduced to Lady Silverbill. After earning several cuts and bruises, the party finally manages to defeat the goblins and discover. After several cuts and bruises, the party finally manages to defeat the goblins and discover that they found not only Sildar Holt, God, I can never say his name. After blessed be. All right. After earning several cuts and bruises, the party. Sometimes I just need to reset and just let it all out. After earning several cuts and bruises, the party. Now I'm just laughing for no stupid reason. I can't even get to his name yet. His name gave me such a problem in the last session. I didn't put any outtakes or anything like that because I struggled with his name so badly, and I don't know why. All right. After. You ever just get the giggles and just you can't break out of it no matter what you try to do? Okay, let's try this again. Woosa. After earning several. Okay, I can get through this, right? I can. It's a short session. It's going to be like 3 hours of outtakes of me just being stuck on one line. Tried to get the laugh out before I started reading, and I just started laughing. Just reading this. Okay, and it's not even funny. The goddamn thing is not even funny. I just can't get past this dude's name. All right, here we go. After earning. Oh my god. Lord help me. The party escorts Sildar. Oh lord. The party escorts Sildar Hall. Mother. The party decides that they need a rest at the tavern, where they discover that the father of the child that Talaris had punched. The party decides to rest at a tavern, where they discover that the father of the child that Man. I know when you hear this edited, it sounds very, I won't say professional, but it sounds way much cleaner because I do take out all these bloopers. And I do try to catch most of the time when I say and I try to take those out. But clearly, as you can see, I probably might do some outtakes because this is a shorter session of me just trying to get through these notes. You can tell that I definitely still struggle and laugh and mispronunciate names. Mispronunciate? I even think that's incorrect. Mispronounce is probably the right way to say that. Anyway, so you can tell that I definitely, even if I have the notes in front of me, I still struggle to get through it sometimes because it is very difficult when you're just trying to read and you're trying to like throw some influx into some of this stuff. Anyway, that's totally besides the point. Let's get back to the notes. You know what, I'm going to pull out and just